This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we are live on our Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels with Emily Ashberry. Just give her a hand. She's on the show. She's part of the Peg Bedroom Festival. Everybody's all really hyped up about that. Did a great performance in the band Insidia. So, it's great to have you on outside of the other project that you were with Insidia.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we actually have the video from that. So we felt like, okay, well, people didn't remember, but we're gonna actually show the video of the performance that you guys did on the last day of the show, the third day, which was the 18th. And so we're gonna cue that up. And we got Insidia UK there. We're gonna play that for like a couple minutes. Play the first couple track, well, one track I think, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to you about your solo career and the stuff that you're doing.
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll put you on mute, and then we'll get into that. This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we are live on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. This is the Peg Bedroom Producer Festival Day 3, and we have Insidia UK, and we're happy to have you guys on for the first time playing. This is awesome. So you guys are going to take it. I'm going to let you have it, have the stage. Just setting it up for everybody. Your link is down there, your link tree. Everybody check out Insidia, download, buy, do it, stream, like, do all that, and I'll let you take over. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, hello, thanks for tuning in. We're Insidia. This is Emily. She's the new singer. I'm Kyle. I'm Ginger. And this first track is called One Step at a Time, and it's a new song. Ready?
Woke up with space beside me, right where you were supposed to be. Found you as still as night, lying where fate struck you down. I hummed a hidden melody, brought gods and angels next to me, played them the ballad of our love, begged them to take me down. Where lost souls never sleep, to the city below our feet. One step at a time, your heart will dance in tune with mine. We'll hum a song to steady us. You feel 1,000 miles behind. I thought your soul was tied to mine, but I know we have a fragile love. Woke up with darkness over me, the place where I knew your soul would be. I vowed to win you back, long to hold you in my arms. He said you'd signed yourself away, now there's a heavy price to pay. I will not lose you now, I found you, I'll obey his terms. And will you put your trust in me? In this city below our feet, we'll move one step at a time. Your heart will dance in tune with mine. We'll hum a song to steady us. You feel 1,000 miles behind. I thought your soul was tied to mine, but I know we have a fragile love. She dims out of sight. Reach for her, but my fingers float through the air. We'll move one step to steady her. You feel 1,000 miles behind. I thought your soul was tied to mine, but I know we have a fragile love. And when I feel myself turn back, I watch you fade into black.
Oh. Oh.
I can't hear you. Sorry, you've dropped out.
There I am.
There you are. Found you.
Yeah, you could hear the song, but the sync on the video for some reason
Yeah, it
didn't
was really laggy.
didn't lag bad. But I think it gave you a good example of what your voice sounds like. So I
Cool.
think that was cool, but technology messed up today.
Technology.
But yeah, it's always good. You never know what's gonna do it. Bye. Bye. He wants to come back in.
Kyle, stop.
Come back in now. It's not your show. But so let's get into the questions because I like to
Sure.
get into like how you got into music. Like what age did you get into music? And why were you interested in it? And it seems like you're still into it. You're still doing it. So
Yeah, very much so. I was always quite musical. My dad plays piano. My dad was in a band when he was a teenager with his brothers, and he's quite into music. And he plays the piano. And we had a piano, and I started lessons when I was about 6. And I don't play so much anymore, but we have one at home. But then when I was I've always been a singer, so I remember really clearly singing as part of a production of A Christmas Carol because my brother didn't want to sing. He was playing Tiny Tim, and he was like, "No, I'm not singing." So I did it, and yeah, that's like my first memory of singing. And then when I was about 12, I think I started to learn the guitar, and after that, I just was really into playing music, and I did like music at school, and yeah, I was yeah, it's just always been something I've been very into.
are you more into like the folk kind of tradition, like singer-songwriter style, like a Joni Mitchell
Yeah,
type of sound? I
yeah,
mean, like you're kind of
definitely.
in that 70s singer-songwriter, Carole King, Joni Mitchell, that type of mode.
Yeah, that's like the stuff I listen to as well. I've got loads of that stuff saved in my playlist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very much into like singer-songwriter as music to listen to and also to play. And that's kind of, I'm not very savvy with music tech, so like anything that I produce is sort of just me and an instrument.
Well, I think that's kind of cool because the problem today with some of the stuff, and I'm an electronic musician, and the weird thing is people are like, "Oh, you're electronic," they think you're a DJ, and I'm
Right.
I'm old school electronic. I'm like Keith Emerson, Genesis electronic, like hardware sense, which is a
Yeah.
whole different thing. But it's like it's more like in the tradition of like songs or
Yeah.
like expansive stuff. Um, so I totally get like I'm a child of the '70s, so I'm into Floyd and the Beatles and Stones and
Mm.
bands that used to play instruments.
I
So from there, it's like when did you realize like that okay that you want to write your own music?
really shied away from it for a really long time. And I think that's why my in was kind of folk music because I found it really difficult to write songs. I really didn't like any kind of creative writing when I was growing up.
Mm,
But now I've sort of got really into it in terms of writing songs, and I'm also a writer and an actor outside of that. So I've really sort of found my way with writing a bit. But I think I didn't really start writing songs until a couple of years ago, and then it was the way that I got into it was I'm really like traditional folk music, so I was finding
right that way.
traditional songs and stories and using them as jumping points because I didn't like I would just look at a blank page otherwise and go, how do I write a song? I think having that like structure and story already made for me made it really easy. And now I've sort of started to try and branch out a little bit from that.
So who were your influences? Because I mean, a lot of times when we get into folk music, it's like, you know, Woody Guthrie, Arlo Guthrie, Dylan comes up. But who were your influences?
Big one, I don't know if you'll have heard of her. She's quite big, but only really in the UK, is Kate Rusby. She's from Yorkshire. She's great. She's a folk singer, and the way that she writes and sings folk music, I think, really allows for people who aren't into folk music to
like
appreciate it and like it. Whereas, because I think people don't really know what folk music sounds like, or they think, oh, it's like Woody Guthrie, like really old folk musicians.
Yeah, you get a guy like Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes. He kind of brought folk to a modern state.
Yeah.
Because like he's compared to Dylan, but he was younger. You know, he's like 15 when he started, and he started doing like this alternative folk. And then there's a whole tradition of a lot of these new artists all over the world that you know are inspired by the Joni Mitchells of the world and the Dylans, but they've got a new spin on it. So it's not like 1970, totally 70s focused. It's more modern.
Yeah, I definitely I like to do that with my music, and I'm definitely certainly influenced by people like Joni Mitchell. She's amazing. But yeah, I love folk music, and I wish more people listen to folk music. So any way that I can find to sort of open it up a little bit to people is really exciting.
So in terms of your writing, though, do you like to just keep it just guitar and vocals, or do you branch into like Americana? Like one of my favorite bands was Bob Dylan's backing band, The Band, which you know, you think Up on Cripple Creek and you know, all the great songs that they wrote. The Weight, because they had this Dylan had that folk tradition, and they brought in this kind of rock folk Canadian, like reminiscing over the South, but they're Canadians interpreting what they thought the South was. And so, and then they have Dylan as their main writer. And so they ended up having all these voices, which was the great thing about the band, is that you have like 5 really great voices. Merging with this kind of Americana that's got this folk tradition. You got Dylan in there. You got these great players, and they kept it, you know, not trying to show off, not trying to be like Zeppelin, not trying to be like the Beatles, but keeping it kind of restrained. So have you thought of like you know, adding that kind of maybe, or kind of like a little electro folk to your work?
Yeah, a little bit. If I play by myself, it is just me and a guitar, but like if I was to arrange something, I would love to have sort of some more stuff on there and fill it out a bit more. And I love stuff like the Indigo Girls, and
great band.
I love the Indigo Girls.
I was totally in love with them as a young guy.
My dad is obsessed with them. He's like the main reason I'm into folk music, I think.
It was so great because they did what you're saying. They have an electric kind of folk. It's poppy folk music. It's in the tradition of the band. You know, it's into the tradition of like Connor Oberst and Bright Eyes. It's like that same type of thing.
Yeah.
It's got this really cool sound because they're the duo. So they've kind of got this duo, you know, 2 voices coming in. And I think that's really cool when you've got two like a duo, like a Hall and Oates and
and they're like so many different genres, but at the root of it, they're still folk musicians. And I really love that about them, because like some of their songs are really rocky, and some of them are really folky. It's really interesting.
They were one of the great bands. I grew up like when I was going to college. I was on the college radio, and I used to play them all the time.
Oh, I love them.
I was like a DJ, and I was like, this stuff is the best. And I was like, what are you playing all that hippie stuff for? I'm like, it's not hippie stuff, it's new.
It's cool.
I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, some people were into punk and they want me to just play the Clash all day. Which I don't mind the Clash. The Clash are cool, but so who are your other reference points, you would say?
So Indigo Girls, Joni Mitchell, Kate Rusby. There's a like a whole host of Celtic musicians that I really like, or who play, they're not Celtic, or like they play Celtic style music. So there's a guy called Seth Lakeman, who is a fiddle player, and he's got some really awesome songs, and Julie Fallis as well. So she sings in, you know, the Pixar film Brave.
Oh yeah,
She sings the songs on that, and she generally, other than like a few songs, she sings in Scottish Gaelic. So she sings in Gaelic. She sings in her in the old Scottish language. So it's really,
that's cool. I've actually
stuff,
been I was dealing with a musician from I think Iceland that was doing like trying to use a traditional language, which is cool. There's more people doing that now. You know, the people from the Netherlands and Iceland, and Sweden, talking in their original language.
Yeah.
Because it's like beautiful because I tend to have musicians come in to do foreign language. Sometimes we'll have bands from Tokyo actually in Japanese, not translated.
Yeah.
Just because it's cool to hear like a Japanese rock band in Japanese.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds like it's what it was intended to sound like, instead of getting converted, because the translation sometimes doesn't work. So it just sounds better.
Yeah, and I think it's great for folk music because it's where it came from, and if you've got a Welsh song and you can speak Welsh, why wouldn't you sing it in Welsh? Like,
I think the intention of music. I was talking to like an Italian artist, and she said that like she does Italian spoken word, and she said she translates it loses like a lot. It loses a lot of what the intention is, right? So
yeah,
it's
definitely.
better to kind of keep it, if you can get your audience to appreciate it, to actually keep it in the original form.
Yeah.
But everything's so popular today. Oh, I want it. I don't know what that is. It's like, well,
people want a hook they can sing along to, don't they?
Where's the hook?
Yeah.
But
where's my catchy chorus line?
Yeah, because if I can't put it in the DAW and I can't put it on 160 BPM, like what's up? It's like but so what would you call your writing style? Well, if somebody's going to ask you, would you just say it's folk or like a new folk or modern folk? What would you call it?
It definitely is still kind of based in folk. The way that I kind of like to get into writing a song is by having a story in mind, and that to me is folk music. I know that all songs are about something, but like folk songs come from stories and folk tales. So I like to have something that in mind, but I am starting to branch out because I don't just listen to like folk and acoustic stuff. I also I love bands like Hosier. Well, Hosier's an artist, and Florence and the Machine and other genres like that. So yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to sort of meld
I think it's interesting because you can take I think the core of what you're doing is really classic songwriting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you get your bones on that, you build up on that, and then you can always take that capability and put vocals into more modern, like indie alternative, right? So you take like a Florence and the Machine, you can see her doing an acoustic song here and there. But it's cool to actually bring the full band in and bring that voice. So
yeah, definitely.
But you come at it in a different way. You come in it as a singer-songwriter, not like a beat maker. So like a lot of stuff today is so beat focused. People have lost the like intention of like classic music, which is full of like what I try to say happy accidents, rhythm changes, key changes, that you can't track in a DAW so easily. Because it's like it was kind of written kind of off the cuff or more loose. So it just has this, but it feels really beautiful when it's done that way. I have a feeling that more and more people are starting to get back into classic songwriting and not be constrained by the DAW, because I think the DAW can actually make it too perfect.
Yeah.
And then you lose some of the things that are good about some of the classic songs, is there are errors in them. They made mistakes, and then they went with the mistake, and then today you have people who are like, oh, I got to get that out of there. We're like, well, that's what makes it pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so when you write, are you do you end up making like a demo on your own with an acoustic guitar, or just your vocal, or are you just focused on your vocals?
I tend to play with a guitar, so I'll generally, if I've got a song that I'm doing a demo of, I'll record a guitar track and then I'll sing over it. But the focus will be more on the voice for me, I think, because I have played guitar for a long time, but like, and I would consider myself a pretty good guitarist, but then I like sit with someone like Kyle, who is insane, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't play guitar anymore. So I think my main strength is kind of my voice. I think the
Well, I think
guitar
it's
is there
what
to
I
support
find
that,
it's.
but yeah.
I've always been a big fan of you know, a singer songwriter might not be the best piano player or the best guitar player or the best any player, right? But it's something really special when a singer songwriter sings and then plays,
Yeah.
because there's like they're good within the capabilities that they are. And a lot of times people will say, well, I'm not Keith Richards, I'm not Jimmy Page, I'm not, you know, Hendrix. But you don't have to be.
Yeah,
You
not
know,
for that kind of music.
for that kind of music, like you
Mm.
could be really good within your, like, know your limitations, but then like your work can be really vital if you're playing it. Because I've actually seen, I've been in bands where somebody came with the guitar and they had a song, right, and then the guitar player took it over, and then I'm like, I like the way the demo sounds,
Yeah.
and I'll push to say
Yeah.
like the demo is actually better because it's like more honest and
Yeah,
more.
I had a demo, it's on SoundCloud, I've not actually released it, but I sent it to someone, and she said, "I think demos are really great because they're, like, kind of, like, raw," and I think especially with a singer-songwriter, if you write a song, it's just you that's writing the song, and if it's just you playing it, it kind of has a different intention than
Yeah,
if you
totally different
bring in
feel.
a load of different people.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad, and it might change it so it gets like really big on the radio or something. But
Mm.
in my opinion, like there's a lot of I just listen to a lot of music history, and I listen to like tapes of bands playing stuff. I listen to like the Stones demos,
Yeah.
Beatle demos, Zeppelin demos, and sometimes you hear somebody come in and like that that actually sounds better than what you put out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like I'm a big fan of listening to anthologies and archives and then, you know, then I kind of make as decisions as a producer that somebody I'll come in and say, hey, you know, this really should be like the second take. We don't need the 10th take. The
Yeah.
second take, you actually, by the time you get to the 10th take, you started to rewrite it because you got scared of what you wrote.
Yeah.
But I like what you wrote at the beginning.
So keep
And so
it,
maybe
yeah.
you're scared of that, but you're scared of what your fans are gonna think, but that's actually better, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
and sometimes the artists kind of sabotage themselves because then they like, oh, that's too much, that's too honest. Well, that's kind of what
Mm.
people want. They want that,
Yeah.
you know. It's like you gotta make sure you don't do the thing where you're like, oh, whoa, I revealed too much, and because I think a part of being a songwriter is that's what you do.
Mm.
And it can hurt you. I mean, if you put out something and later you're like, "Wow, I just told everybody something I really didn't want to tell them."
Yeah.
But I think it's part of the art of it. And the more you can get comfortable being like as free as you can be, I think it really serves the music. It
Mm.
might not serve you personally, but the music gets served.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a problem like that where you like you write something and then you start second guessing it because it's like, oh, I said too much?
No, not yeah, I'm sort of starting the way that I write songs is kind of changing. So the stuff that I've written already is uh kind of entirely based on folk stories and old folk ballads. And I've started recently because I've been writing more and more because I've been writing with Kyle, just trying to write a song from like one idea or one thought, and that is when it kind of starts to be a little bit more personal because before the songs that I'd written before were like, oh, this is a cool story, I'm gonna sing it. Um, but yeah, I'm finding it really interesting writing new songs from just like I woke up with a line of a song in my head the other day and I started writing from it, and it was a really different experience from what I am used to doing.
Yeah,
But I've not yet hit that wall of,
Yeah,
oh, I
because
don't like saying this much. Yeah.
yeah, I guess if you do it for a while, and I've been doing it since I was 17.
Mm,
But the one thing you find out, like, I think it's what I found is like I would sit down and try to write a song. It's like I'm gonna write a hit.
yeah.
So I listen to the Beatles or I listen to the Stones and I try to clone a structure. Not that I'm trying to rip it off, but trying to find a hook. Trying to
Mm,
find when I was in early bands, we used to do that a lot. We used to go, we'd love a song from like Joy Division or New Order or Depeche Mode, and we're like, I said, we're like in the new wave. It's like, well, let's figure out how to do something in that zone. And then we
mm,
did was obsess about it, right? And we just keep on trying. And then we like, oh, okay, let's take a break, right? And then it's kind of jam. And then when we
yeah.
did the jam, it's like the jam is better than everything we were trying to write. And then we started letting go and say, you know what? If we just jam and do stream of consciousness lyrics, and then put the tape recorder on and put it on for like
It
two
would be
hours, do a
great.
track,
Yeah.
then we would find the hook, and we said we actually found the songs a lot faster, just letting go of all that and just like say, let's just play. And then
Yeah.
we found out that we
Mm.
were doing a lot better than taking 2 months to try to write something that was like cloned in somebody else.
Yeah, we had one of the, I think it was the last song that me and Kyle played at the festival. We wrote it that afternoon in about 20 minutes, and it's my favorite. In my opinion, it's the best one, and it happened because Kyle said, "Oh, I've got this riff,"
Yeah,
and
that's
started
how it
playing
happened.
it. Yeah, and then he said, "Oh, I've got like this one idea for a line," and then we wrote it in 20 minutes, and it's like my favorite one.
That like in music history, you find so many bands. Like the stories about Fleetwood Mac doing that,
Mm.
about Hendrix doing that,
It's
like the
like Dolly
Doors.
Parton wrote "I Will Always Love You" and Jolene on the same day. Like
Yeah,
two of the greatest songs in history.
yeah. I mean, you can find people just just throwing things off. It just like it just ends up being really interesting. And my daughter got to get my cat out the room because my cat's supposed to eat. But so it's really a strange thing today because you've got so many people trying to like make a hit,
Hmm.
uh and because there's a lot of pressure to like clone existing forms as producers and stuff. But I think it's always better just to let people be who they are.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
and if you let people be who they are, they'll create something new. you know
Mm.
it's like the great music in the world, the people tell them like, oh, you can't do that, like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do a song that long. You can't have that many key changes. It sounds like the opera. What are you doing? And and the radio wouldn't play it. They were like, so they made a video, and then the video got played, and then it got put on a radio. So
Yeah.
people will put roadblocks up to your creativity, telling you what you can't do. And I think the creative people who really cut through it are people like, I am not gonna be constrained by that. Like if I feel like I want to do like a techno song and throw in some country vibe into it,
Do
and
it.
people tell me that's not what you do,
Yeah.
well then do it. Because if your agent tells you not to do it, then you probably should do
Good
it.
life rule.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not listening to him. He's like, he drives a Cadillac. Come on. He's on the golf course. He's not playing music. Like, what's going on?
He's got no clue.
Yeah, I'm like, listen to a guy like that. No. But so you guys are working on like some new material, and you've got your own material. So
Yes.
so I know you've got your own stuff. So maybe talk about the material that you have as a solo artist.
Yeah. So I have a single out on everywhere you can listen to music. I think it's definitely on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. I think it's on Deezer, but we don't actually have Deezer over here. So
Oh yeah,
Deezer and
I
Pandora and stuff
don't
like that.
use it. Yeah, I
But
don't use it.
yeah,
But I know,
don't use
I know about it.
it. But yeah, as far as I know, it's on everywhere that you can listen to music. And that is a song that I adapted from a Newfoundland folk song. So I found it, and the lyrics were quite sort of old and didn't make a lot of sense. So I took the story and rewrote it and arranged it. So it's called Bright Phoebe. And I've got sort of a collection of other songs building that I think I'm not decided yet. I'm either going to release them myself or I'm going to sort of make a demo and send it to people. But I think I'm leaning towards releasing it myself. Yeah, like I think it'll be an EP.
In the same vein as the original, as the song that's out now.
Yeah. So most of the stuff I've got is that kind of vibe.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I think I've got 4 or 5 songs that I have in going on. So yeah, I think I'm gonna record them and get them produced and
So the
release them.
song's called Bright Phoebe. It's out there on all the services.
Yeah, it'll be in the link tree as well. Yeah.
So if you go into the link tree, it's right in there. You tell people to go check that out. And I always tell people, like, if you go and you get that song, like it, download it, forward it to other people, put it on a playlist.
Please.
Yeah, that's what you do. Create a playlist, put it on, tell your friends about it, because that's how things get viral. You gotta
definitely
get it out there. Yeah, but I think it's cool as a musician to do as many things as you can. Like I've always been in, in bands and then not in bands, and then doing all kinds of other stuff. So I do like some commercial stuff because I'm a keyboardist, right? So I can write jingles, and you don't have to know it's the ghost. I wrote a corporate jingle, and then
yeah,
but helps me buy my mug.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I'm trying to get into wedding singing at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, things have only just started opening up over here, but yeah, that's like a really
that's a good
easy
lucrative
thing
job for working musician.
Yeah, and I've been playing bars and pubs for years, so I've got like a huge list of cover songs that get people singing. So
Well, I think it's like, if you think about it, like having a songwriter or a singer like yourself at a wedding, it's kind of soothing and just different than having like a full band. Yeah, it might actually suit some people's vibe, for a
yeah,
wedding.
definitely.
You think about, like, people don't want to have, like, okay, am I gonna have a guy playing like Tom Petty?
Yeah.
You're gonna have somebody that's gonna be able to have something that's kind of cool and different. And because I think people, like, some people want to do the same thing all the time. That's fine, but I think if you have that, I think it's a really cool that to have a
Yeah.
wedding, a singer like yourself. You come in there and you have some of your own material. You've got a different voice. It's maybe more laid back. It's more like it's got that 70s vibe. It kind of like, that's kind of romantic, if you think about it. It's got that
Yeah, I
romantic
think it definitely appeals to a certain sort of set of people, but it's there. It's a set of people
and
that
you can you're setting a scene for the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give it that feel. You want that vibe. So that's pretty cool. So what are I know your plans. We're in Insidia. You guys are working on a bunch of stuff. Your album is probably coming out like late this year or next year.
Next year, yeah. So Halloween 2020. I'm not on that one. That's not me. So that's the old singer.
You're on the next one.
I'm on the next one. So we're working on an EP at the moment, which is bar one of those, what most of the songs that we played at the festival are going to be on it.
Well, maybe you get a chance to, like, we're trying to do the festival again from the November 19th to the 21st. So if you guys got tracks that, maybe you can play some of those new tracks at that festival.
Yeah, that would be great.
We're trying to give people a venue. So do you think you'll be playing in between writing anywhere in your area?
I hope so. We're both we live in different cities, but we're both kind of nagging people to give us some gigs.
Get a gig, yeah.
I've not played a gig in like 2 years. It's horrible because just not been able to.
That's what I'm trying to create, these virtual gigs more often. Like we got such a good reception to the Peg thing that we're like, our goal is to actually do it way more frequent. So we're going to probably do it twice a year minimum, and then go. Once we get sponsors, it might end up coming into something. Do we do it like every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We can, because the whole thing about it is, if we create like a bigger platform, and we were able to give people like effects and give people all kinds of cool stuff that they can do, and give you a really good stage to be able to do stuff. And I think it just gives people, and then actually ticket, because
Mm.
there are ways to do, the dollar ticket, $2 ticket, but it starts to work because
Yeah.
like you do that on the net, and it's not like a 300 seat club, right? If you do $1 ticket and suddenly like 5,000 people come in, that's totally different than what you would have thought.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that you can do that it's starting to get bigger in terms of what we can do on the net and the capabilities. So we just want to give more indie artists like yourselves a place to do that.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was the first kind of any kind of gig I'd played since the pandemic hit, so it was really nice to. I know, like, I couldn't see anyone, but it was nice to. And we did have an audience member. Our friend Lindsay was sort of in the
In the
room
room with you, yeah.
quietly bobbing
Like
along. So, yeah,
I would extend to you, since you're working on that EP, if you want to do a solo performance on your
yeah,
acoustic guitar unplugged and you want me to run it, we are starting to do this hybrid thing where it's not just a festival. That individual artists, if you want to get presented and you want to go and do a show, we can actually set it up on Facebook, and then set it up for tickets and everything, and try to see if we can get anything going.
yeah, that would be amazing.
Whether or not anybody actually buys the ticket, we don't know. We've never
So hit and
we,
miss,
we, we
but
can we can set it up, and then if it works, it works. It doesn't work, either way,
yeah, it sounds good.
you have the
Yeah,
stage, and we could do that for you when you're ready. So if you're ready to present this material in between what you're doing with Kyle, let us know, and we'll set up a stage for you, like maybe this time of day or a different time that's good for you, and we'll
yeah,
push.
definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just something new we've been putting out there. So you're the first person I've asked.
Oh, thanks.
It's on my
Feel
list
honored.
to ask every podcast guest, but I
Yeah.
was like, I think I'll try it with you.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'd love to do that.
That'd be cool. I'm
Yeah.
into it because I think like especially folk musicians or musicians who play instruments, it really works well with
Mm,
this format. People who have the DAWs is a little harder. We have to work really hard
yeah,
um,
I can imagine.
to get it to work right. And it's just like, so it's a lot easier for me to set something up for you. I know it will work. So,
Yeah.
well, not that I mean I have to do so much work with some of these other bands that it's like, okay, diminishing returns sometimes for me. It's like I gotta put you.
Yeah. It's a lot
But
of effort.
yeah, it's a lot of effort. I mean, I love music, so I'll put it in. But it's just like we just want the world to make it easier. It'd be cool.
Mm.
All the technology people out there, make it so that Mac and a PC stream from a DAW, like without having to pull your rest of your hair out. Um, so what are your thoughts on the future of music? We always ask this question to see what people think or what they say.
It's I have a really strange music taste in that if anyone says, "Do you know this song?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." So I don't know. I don't know. So in terms of like the future of music and like the way it sounds,
Well, I
like,
guess
or
you can take it either way, and they can think about
yeah.
it like the way things are sounding, like ideas. Like, do you think more people are going to be genre merging or bending, or people are going to stay in their lanes, or we could get into like, oh, is it good to have streaming versus vinyl versus tape versus physical form of music? And you can
Yeah,
argue all kinds of points,
any
but
kind of thing. I think in terms of like genres and stuff, I think people are going to start. People, I mean, people are always kind of pioneering new kinds of music and new sounds, and yeah, I think it's only going to get more weird and wonderful. And yeah, I think that the more that people sort of blend genres, the better, because that's how new genres get born, and that's how we discover sort of new things about music that we didn't know, and suddenly we'll be listening to something and be like, oh my god, that's amazing, why has no one ever done this before?
yeah, because I can
In a
kind of
sense.
like, it's cool to hear a voice like your voice. Like I can think of like being like a synth wave person. I'm into new wave. I'm into like
Mm,
using all these analog synths. So to have a really good female voice coming in on that is it gives me a different like color to add to my voice, add to what my work is. So from
Yeah.
time to time, I've actually brought female singers into my work because my stuff is so like bass heavy and so like analog is taking up the signal so much that a deep voice like mine doesn't work as good as if you
Mm.
bring in a like a soprano or falsetto or a higher pitched voice. It cuts in better in the mix. It
Yeah.
just works better for what I'm doing. And so it's just cool to actually integrate with other types of people that are doing different things. So I think if you get a country, like somebody from Nashville, or then somebody from Berlin, or like an Italian singer singing in Italian, or
Yeah.
whatever, or a poet just doing spoken word. Because I actually did this project with this Canadian poet, and she went and did spoken word over my stuff.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm like, that's
Mm.
cool because I just like it's kind of like Velvet Underground with Nico. Like when
Mm.
Lou Reed had Nico come in and she was this model, but she had this kind of really stark voice coming in and
Yeah.
this kind of spoken word stuff on the Velvet Underground first record. I'm like, that's cool. I really like it.
Yeah.
And anyway that does something a little different, I'm like, that kind of I always gravitate to things that are like at the bottom 500 of the chart.
Yeah. Same. I think the more that people can sort of come together in terms of like mixing genres and mixing ideas, the better, because that's kind of what music's about. Music is about sort of community for me and
Mhm.
sort of discovering stuff together. So yeah, I think the more that people can pioneer new ways of making music, the better.
Now, what do you think about like streaming, like the virtual music that you don't really own? It's just on your phone, it's in the ether, it's on versus like
Mm.
I'm a child of the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So I bought my first record at the record store on vinyl or 8-track. It was like I was going bouncing between the vinyl and 8-track. But then I got tired of 8-tracks because they kept on blowing up. So it's like this is not a good technology because every time I use 10 plays in, the thing blows up, and I'm like, then I gotta buy it again. And I'm like, no, I stick with vinyl. So,
Stick with my
but
vinyls.
yeah, that's what I did. But
Mm.
one thing I liked about it was it made me listen to the whole record,
Right.
unless I didn't like it. Like unless you didn't like it, you typically would listen to both sides.
Mm.
And then today with these well, not to get up these playlists,
Mm.
they got you bouncing around, and then you never maybe even go to the artist that has like the record that comes from. Um,
Yeah.
and I kind of grew up as like I would pick up the whole record and listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So do you write more for singles or do you write for EPs or albums? How do you write?
Um, I thought I was writing singles, and then I realized that all the songs I'd written kind of had a similar theme, and I was like, oh, it's kind of an EP. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I write but I think I write um sort of as I have an idea for a song, and it just so happened that these songs were all
Go
sort
together.
of connected in some way. Um, but yeah, I think generally I write more like singles. But I think it's difficult because I think there are definite problems with streaming. Like, for example, I know that my song has had like 2,000 plays and I've made a grand total of like £8. So like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
um,
If somebody bought them, you would get at least 80 cents each,
exactly, yeah.
and that's the whole thing. People, the demonetization of music, and then like the monetization of like gaming and
Yeah.
YouTubers, not to put them down, but we've gotten to the point where a musician is so devalued that people pay us like 0.006 of a penny, but they'll give a $20 tip to a person playing a video game.
Yeah, it's really
So
strange.
so then my whole thing is like, if you really like that song, why don't you tip the musician at the same level you tip the YouTuber? Uh,
Yeah.
and people seem to think that, well, you don't have to do that because musicians just make money. It's like, no, they don't.
No, we really
so,
don't.
so, so I'm like we need to find a way to take the kind of mentality where somebody's paying a gamer to play a game
Mm,
and actually create a format where people watch you on this show and they can donate to your
yeah,
PayPal me, right? So
yeah.
we they so we're
Patreon or
like, okay,
something.
if you like Emily Ashberry, you can tip her too. You can go to her
Yeah, that'd
site,
be
go
fab.
to her cloud, and you can click on the COVID-19 button if you have one.
Yeah.
Like that. But the people don't seem to understand.
Yeah, no, it feels like
It seems weird to me.
yeah, it seems weird. But I think
Because
on the other sorry, go on.
well, because my daughter, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she'll be tipping all these YouTubers, and I'm like, that's cool, but why don't you tip some of the musicians you listen?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I never thought about it." It's like, well, I'm a musician. Maybe you think about it.
Yeah, I think I think that's a definite problem with it. And I think it is a shame that people don't really buy music anymore. Like I mean, I'm only a little bit older than your daughter, but I remember going to HMV or something and buying.
Yeah,
And I remember the first CD I bought. But yes, I think it's a shame people don't buy music anymore. And I know that in the UK they had a discussion in Parliament the other day about making royalties from streaming services for musicians like 50/50 or closer to 50/50, which would be amazing.
yeah, that
Um,
needs to happen.
yeah, please. But I mean, I don't buy music anymore. I say all this and I listen to all my music on a streaming
Yeah, I
service.
think,
So
well, as a
yeah.
musician, like I'm guilty of it too because like
Mm,
we have access to everybody's platform, so we're on these subscription services. But like what I try to do is if I really like a band, I'll buy the record. You know,
yeah.
I'll go buy the vinyl, I'll go buy the CD. And what I found is a lot of people get engaged like if you have vinyl.
Mm,
And I've actually gone and done vinyl, and I find the engagement for vinyl was it's such a good deal for the artist because if you think about it, I've done little micro batches of peg stuff, like only 100 copies. I make more money selling 100 vinyls of a peg album than I do if I streamed like 20,000.
wow.
So it's like so the investment is worth it because if I go, I get people to buy 100 peg albums
Yeah.
versus trying to say, well, I can't do it because like if I print 1,000 vinyls, I'm going to be in the red. But
Yeah.
if you could be able to go somewhere and do 100, and then you sell 101, and people want more, it actually starts to work. And so there's
Mm,
ways to do stuff at like a micro level in this environment and then still engage your fans with like the artwork of a vinyl. The one thing about vinyl was like you can have artwork, you can work with an artist, you can have your lyric sheet. It just
mm.
engages your audience in a way that they'll tend to come back
Yeah,
for your next
definitely.
record and follow you. Even if you've got like 1,000 hardcore fans that do it that, you can actually sustain yourself in a better economic way than you can through streaming.
Mm. Yeah, I think one thing that I like about streaming as a listener is I listen to a lot more music, because, like, the price of 1 month's subscription is the price of, like, 1 brand new album,
It
and,
gives you access to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah, being a musician, I mean, having access to everybody's record, gives you this really good palette of all
mm,
your influences. I think that's great. I just
yeah,
think that
definitely.
that the other side of it is that you have to like invest in the artist you like.
Yeah, definitely.
So the artists that you really dig, you should buy their merch and buy their
Mm,
stuff. If you want to use the streaming service so you have a wider net, but I think people have gone and said, well, then they don't buy anything. And I would just argue like buy something
yeah.
from the artist you like. Now you can, I know you can't afford everybody you
Buy
listen
a
to,
T-shirt.
but buy
Yeah.
something from the artist you really dig. If you really dig them, you know, support them. And I
Mm,
think it's just something in the past like you couldn't even get the record. That's what the record industry kind of got upset about when Napster happened, because if you wanted to listen to the top 10, you had to go to Strawberries Records and you had to get the tape, you had to get the CD if you
mm,
wanted to hear that song other than on the radio. And now that got broken.
yeah.
And so now we've got to figure out a way for all the artists to still, engage the audience and not feel like they're ripping them off, but not feel like they're getting like stiff.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think everyone's got this misconception about musicians where they're like, oh, they're fine. They're making money. They're releasing music. I'm like, I'm not making any money, please.
Yeah, the average working musician has to do a show, and because of COVID, you can't do the show. I know we used to be able to be starving musicians and go from small club to small club and a little
You can't even do that.
band, and now we can't even do that. And so that's why I'm trying to create like this platform here, so that
really
we can
helpful.
get noticed. And if we get noticed, then we get companies that come and sell. Now, this is the thing where we get with purists. Like, I've got a problem with well, not a problem, but there's a certain type of artist that, like, if I get a big company to come in and say, I'm selling soda and I'm gonna give your artist money, and then somebody says, well, I don't like them, then they're not gonna get the money.
Yeah.
So it's like I understand that, and I've been in the underground. I know there's some companies people don't like. It's like, okay, fine, I'll try to find companies people like, but there's always some company somebody doesn't like. So it's just a matter of, okay, well, there's part of this thing where it's gonna have to be a compromise somewhere. If we sell something, then we're selling something, and we're working with you. So that's where there's in the future you have to figure out, like, well, I got to get somebody that's not obnoxious to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the bridge. As soon as you start trying to play with money, then that's what happens. Like, somebody's going to say they don't like it. But we can be starving, or we can have a little bit of money so you can buy a pizza or something.
Yeah, please.
Got to eat something sometime. But
I have to eat.
Yeah, eat or buy guitar strings.
Yeah.
But
I need new software, please.
Yeah, well, it's even more money for these other gadgets.
Yeah.
But like, so in terms of doing studio work, you guys all work with like just like your own home studios, or you go into big studios, or you can't go into studios?
So I, with my own stuff, it's literally been in this room with my little Focusrite, just trying to do it myself. I know Kyle has been sort of in the studio recording stuff, which is then sent to me, and then I record my bit, and then it's sent back and forth. That's kind of how we're doing it at the moment. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think, well, to be honest, everything is open now. We kind of have, well, no restrictions in the UK at the moment, so I assume that
you could go in the studio if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think so. I think if I found a studio, I would be allowed to, because it's not like even a legal requirement to wear masks or anything now. So yeah, I think everything's back to normal.
That's cool. But then like, my whole thing, well, if I can go in the studio, then I can do a gig.
Yeah. Well, gigs are back now. I went to a comedy gig the other day, so gigs are back. They are happening. It's slowly gaining momentum. Yeah.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, I want to, like, I have to go to New York or Boston to do anything, because like where I live in New Hampshire is like, it's just all folk music, and I'm an electronic artist.
Yeah.
They're like, that's not Hotel California. No, it's not.
It's not.
But so you got to go to New York if you want to do original music.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody's gonna start yelling Freebird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing Freebird tonight.
I went to Nashville a couple of years ago, and I went in like several different bars, and I heard Hotel California in every single one of them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's an American problem. It's an American problem. So you go somewhere, somebody starts yelling,
Hotel California, play the Eagles.
Play some Led Zeppelin, play some Black Dog. You gotta do that. Like, okay. So then you're stuck into like a 1977 playlist.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac rumor stuff, and you're like, okay. And I'm like bored out of my skull. It's like, I don't want to play that. I did the bar scene with a bunch of bands. I'm like, okay, like we're playing, but it's like, it's boring. I want to, like, I'm the kind of, I want to play my own music.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, there's some guys that's cool enough that they just want to be on stage, and I understand there's a certain type of musicians like, I don't care, I just want to be on stage playing covers. Okay, That's all right. It's like that's what you want to do, but it's like that's not my bag. I'm not into that. But
Mm. I do,
I'm-
and I really enjoy just being on stage and playing covers. But like, I think now that I've got more stuff that I've written, I
Yeah.
like feel more confident being like, I wrote this song, I'm gonna play it for you, and seeing how people react. But yeah, I mean, that's like kind of how I started, was playing in pubs and bars.
Yeah, I think that's what
yeah.
everybody gets. You know, I played the bars. You know, little pizza bars. You know,
Yeah.
that's how you start. Like when I was starting, like when I was like 17, it's like okay, into my mid-20s, I thought it was cool, and then I'm like,
I'm done.
I was like 26.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like I got my own stuff now.
Mm.
So there was like a point where I'm like, it's cool, and now it's not so cool. It's like everybody can get to their point where they have enough material, and I guess they have enough confidence in their own capability that they think they can sustain an audience with their own material.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really cool when you can do that. Like when you get to that level where you feel as an artist, like, I've got something to say. I think I've got my material strong enough that I can get in front of a crowd and I can keep their attention, and they're not going to walk out. They're going to be there. And they're going to want to engage.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool when you feel like you can do that.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully you can get out there.
Yeah.
And especially maybe when your album comes out, like you guys, like when your full band has a record and you guys can get like audience engaged and get back into festival.
Yeah, we're trying to get somewhere with it.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
cool.
just
You
everything's
guys are
sort of
really
a bit
good.
slow.
And
Thank you.
like I said, I want to give you a shot to do your solo work as
Yeah,
solo
that
artist.
would
So
be
when you
brilliant.
feel you're full with that, you know, just to get in touch with me. And
Will
we'll
do,
set
yeah.
Okay, well, it's great having you on. Everybody go to the link tree, like we've been saying. Go and download, like,
Please.
favorite, you know, check out everything that she's got, forward it, playlist it. That's how you support artists.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really cool.
No problem. We love supporting anybody who's got something to say, and you got some really cool work. And I like the
Thank you.
direction you're going with your music. So I look forward to your EP. And when you do
Thanks.
have it, we'll put you on to talk about it.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.